Of course, I know they want me gone. Listen y'all, they really shot FBG Duck in broad daylight, right in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast. It was one of the boldest and most shocking drill-related killings ever caught on camera. And now, things are heating up again? The feds are officially bringing Lil Durk's name into the mix. In this video, we are going to explain how Durk allegedly gave the green light for the hit on FBG Duck, turning what started as a rap feud into a serious federal murder case. Let's start by laying the groundwork. For anyone not familiar with how deep Chicago's drill scene really runs, this is not just about music. We are talking about two major figures in Chicago street rap: Lil Durk, who is tied to O-Block and the Black Disciples, and FBG Duck, who represented Tukaville and the Gangster Disciples. But this was way more than just diss tracks and music videos. This beef was rooted in real gang rivalries that had been building for over 10 years. And now, court files, civil lawsuits, and federal investigations are revealing a much darker story behind the scenes. This is darker than anything you would see in a Hollywood movie. We are talking about rumors of cash bounties, carefully planned hits, and a deep conspiracy that some believe reaches the highest levels of OTF only, the family Lil Durk's crew, which prosecutors now claim is more than just a music group, calling it a full-blown criminal organization. The date that changed everything was August 4, 2020. That day shook Chicago's drill scene to its core. FBG Duck, real name Carlton Weekly, was out in the Gold Coast, one of the city's most expensive shopping areas. He was buying birthday gifts for his son when tragedy struck. Out of nowhere, bullets flew. Duck was hit 16 times and killed right outside a Dolce & Gabbana store in broad daylight. His girlfriend, Kashake Williams, and another person were also hit in the chaos. People could not believe what happened. They really shot FBG Duck in the Gold Coast, bro, someone shouted, in disbelief. But the story only gets deeper from here. This was not just a random shootout between rivals. According to a powerful lawsuit filed by Duck's mother, Lashina Weekly, this hit was planned from the top. She claims King Von, who was also part of OTF, put a $100,000 bounty on Duck's head. And even more shocking, Lil Durk is accused of giving the go-ahead to carry it out. Behind the scenes, it looked like someone was pulling the strings, and according to Duck's family, that someone was sitting at the top of OTF. Their lawsuit clearly claims that a $100,000 bounty was placed on FBG Duck's head to make sure he was killed, and the feds, they were not playing around. In January 2024, 6 members of O-Block were convicted for Duck's murder. Their names: Charles Liggins, Kenneth Robertson, Christopher Thomas, Marcus Smart, Takarloff Offord, and Ralph Turpin. These were not just any shooters. They were close to Durk's inner circle. According to investigators, they were acting on direct orders from higher-ups in OTF. Now, when people say Durk killed Duck on camera, they do not mean there is video of Durk physically pulling the trigger. It is much more complex than that. Prosecutors have been collecting a digital mountain of evidence: social media activity, phone records, song lyrics, and music videos that they say shows how the hit was planned, carried out, and even celebrated. Take King Von's music video, Took Her to the O, for example. That video came out months before Duck's death, and it shows Von's character killing someone named Duck. Prosecutors believe that was not just fiction, it was a warning, a way to mentally shake Duck before making the hit real. With over 350 million views on YouTube, that video, prosecutors say, was not just music, it was a message. The streets already knew about the long-running tension between O-Block and Tukaville, but what shocks people the most is how Lil Durk is accused of using his fame, wealth, and music empire to turn that street beef into something much bigger, a full-on conspiracy. The lawsuit even pulls major record labels into it, names like Sony, Universal, Alamo, and Empire, saying they made money off real violence while ignoring the damage it caused in the real world. And here is where it gets even deeper. Ralph Turpin, one of the shooters, was allegedly talking to a phone number linked to Durk's brother, D-Thing, right around the time FBG Duck's location was found and he was killed. So this was not just some chance run-in on the street. This was, according to the allegations, a carefully organized hit with connections leading straight back to the top of OTF. The streets have been whispering about this for years. But now the courts are finally starting to catch up to what many in the hood already believed. FBG Duck's murder was not just another tragic loss in Chicago's gang violence. It was, allegedly, A business move planned and approved at the highest levels of one of hip-hop's most powerful collectives. To really understand why things spiraled the way they did, you have to look at what FBG Duck did before he was killed. This part of the story matters. When he dropped the track Dead Underscore, he was not just making music, he was sending a direct message. That song felt like he was walking through O'Block's cemetery and disrespecting every name carved into the stone. He called out specific deceased members, mocked the way they died, and questioned whether they were ever really street in the first place. In Chicago's drill scene, that kind of disrespect is not taken lightly. It is seen as crossing the line, and prosecutors say that is exactly what made Duck a marked man. But what makes this case stand out from other street conflicts is how carefully it was allegedly planned. This was not about someone acting out of emotion or reacting in the heat of the moment. No, this was something much colder. The lawsuit claims that this was a calculated business move, with OTF leaders allegedly thinking through the risks and rewards of eliminating one of their biggest rivals. According to prosecutors, money and influence turned this killing into something that was not just personal but profitable. Just think about the level of organization this would have taken. Someone had to be tracking Duck's moves. There had to be a person with enough authority to approve a hit in the middle of the day. In one of Chicago's wealthiest neighborhoods, then there were the shooters, people willing to throw away their freedom to carry it out. And behind all of them, an entire operation ready to gain from the chaos. What happened next did not feel like your average street crime. It looked like something planned at a corporate level. 2 vehicles pulled up, and 4 men stepped out, 2 from each car. They opened fire on the people standing outside a high-end store. This was not random, it was organized, bold, and deadly. One of the most striking parts of this case is how social media became part of the investigation. In today's digital world, every Instagram story, tweet, and YouTube upload can be used as evidence. The same platforms these artists used to gain fans are now being used to trace and build a RICO case against them. Piece by piece, the evidence keeps piling up, each one pointing back to OTF, not just as a music group, but as an alleged criminal organization. According to the lawsuit, OTF used its position in the music industry to fuel and organize real-life violence, all while cashing in on the chaos it caused. And here's what makes it even sadder: FBG Duck might have been trying to change. In 2019, he released Chicago Legends, a song that honored fallen members from both sides. Some people saw it as him trying to make peace. But in the streets, people have long memories, and so does the federal government. The feds are not taking this lightly. In fact, the word profit shows up 102 times in their 229-page lawsuit. Prosecutors are making it clear they believe this was all about money and clout. Every time a diss track got streamed, every time a violent post went viral, every time someone laughed or celebrated Duck's death online, it was all money in someone's pocket. This case is no longer just about 2 rappers with a beef. It is about how the music industry is being accused of turning real violence into entertainment and profit. Some record labels allegedly supported artists who they knew were involved in street activity because in this game, controversy sells and realness gets paid. But the story does not stop here. Things are about to go even deeper. Now that we have laid out the background, it is time to follow the digital trails and money paths that have prosecutors building a RICO case. One that could completely change the way we understand drill rap and the business behind it. This is no longer just street gossip or barbershop talk. No, it is a full-blown federal investigation. We are talking wiretaps, court files, and a trail of digital evidence that prosecutors say connects Lil Durk to one of the boldest public killings in Chicago's recent history. Seeing something like that happen in broad daylight, it shocked the entire city. But the feds were not surprised. They had been piecing this case together, step by step, for a long time. According to federal prosecutors, this was not just a gang beef gone too far. They say it was a carefully built criminal conspiracy disguised behind the image of a record label. Every song, every post, every online move was another brick in a larger operation, one designed to maintain control and power within O-Block. Let's start with the music. In Chicago's drill rap scene, lyrics often reflect real life and, in this case, prosecutors believe they tell the story of a murder. Take Lil Durk's 2021 track, Should Have Ducked. On it, he raps, "She asked me how high do I get, I told her high as duck." Prosecutors are not calling that just a clever lyric. They see it as Durk bragging about FBG Duck's death, using it to make money. It did not stop there. In his 2024 song Monitoring Me, Durk raps, "I don't gotta pay nobody to do nothing. I got killers. All my friends." Prosecutors are treating that like more than just a line. They believe it is an open admission, pointing to a crew of violent enforcers in Durk's inner circle. Then there's the social media activity, which prosecutors say is even more telling. On the same day Duck was killed, Durk tweeted "Rip Nusky," referencing a family member who had also died. Many in the streets saw that as more than coincidence. Investigators did too. They claim FBG Duck's killing was followed by a wave of online responses from OTF members, responses that seemed too coordinated to be random. It looked like they knew it was coming. And then there is King Von. This is where everything starts connecting. According to the lawsuit, Von was more than just a rising star signed to Durk. He was the underboss in this operation, the one allegedly putting bounties on rival names and directing violence behind the scenes. That now infamous took her to the O video, with over 350 million views, is not seen by prosecutors as just entertainment. They claim it was a threat in plain sight, a warning to Duck that turned into reality. Phone records made things even more serious. Ralph Turpin, the man accused of tipping off the shooters about Duck's location, was in contact with a number linked to D-Thing, Lil Durk's brother, right around the time of the hit. Prosecutors say this points to an organized chain of communication, moving from the ground troops all the way up the OTF ladder. And the money. That might be the clearest evidence of all. The lawsuit lays out how every mention of Duck's name, whether in songs, interviews, or videos, was used to drive up streams, boost sales, and build fame. Each time Duck's murder was referenced, it allegedly translated into profit for Durk and his team. FBG Duck's death, the suit claims, was not just another tragic chapter in street politics. It became a brand. This case is not just about two artists going at each other, it is about how an entire machine allegedly turned real-life violence into a business model. The rower, the beef, the more clicks it got, the more real the threats, the more fans tuned in. Prosecutors say Durk and his crew turned pain into promotion, and that FBG Duck's death became both a message and a moneymaker. This whole situation goes far beyond the streets. The involvement of major record labels makes it even more complicated. Big names like Sony, Universal, Alamo, and Empire are now being called out in the lawsuit. They are accused of turning a blind eye to the criminal activities of their artists, while continuing to profit from the chaos. According to the lawsuit, these labels welcomed artists with violent backgrounds because controversy and realness boost record sales. The threats, the killings, and even the celebration of death, all of it, prosecutors say, was allowed because it made money. Let's break down just how organized this alleged operation really was. This was not just a few people handling beef on the block. Prosecutors claim this was a multi-million-dollar setup, using real business deals to fund and cover up criminal activity. OTF reportedly had contracts with top record labels, big distribution deals, touring partnerships, and even merch sales, all of it, according to the feds, acting as fronts for a much deeper criminal network. The timeline adds more weight to the conspiracy. Duck drops diss tracks aimed at fallen O Block members. Then, King Von allegedly responds by putting a bounty on Duck's head. The took her to the O video drop scene as a public warning. Soon after, Duck is tracked down and killed in broad daylight, with investigators claiming there was communication all the way back to OTF leadership. The footage from the day of the murder is chilling. Duck was in the Gold Coast, far from his usual neighborhood, but somehow, the shooters knew exactly where to find him. That kind of coordination does not happen by chance. It suggests someone was tracking his movements in real time. Testimonies from the trial added even more to the case. Duck's girlfriend, who is also the mother of his child, testified about the ongoing threats and harassment she received from OTF members. This was not just a rap rivalry, it was personal, persistent, and, prosecutors say, controlled from the top. The federal government is not treating this like a regular street crime. By using RICO charges, they're applying the same legal tools used to take down the mafia. Prosecutors are now saying some rap collectives are functioning like hybrid organizations, part music label, part organized crime ring. What makes this case even more intense is Durk's later arrest on separate charges, this time tied to the Quando Rando shooting, which allegedly was revenge for King Von's death. Prosecutors claim the pattern is the same: retaliation, money, power, and control again. All allegedly run through OTF, with Durk pulling the strings. Duck's mother filed a civil lawsuit not just to seek justice for her son, but to show the world what she believes is a clear pattern of violence and manipulation. Coming from the top of OTF, the 230-page legal document reads more like a federal indictment. It outlines how Dirk allegedly used his fame, wealth, and influence to fuel violent attacks against rivals. As the digital evidence keeps piling up, the music industry's response has been loud in its silence. Dirk lost his honorary key to the city in Broadview, Illinois, and his nonprofit, the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, lost its community partnerships. When your own hometown starts stepping back, it speaks volumes. Even the streets are reacting. Posts online reveal a community that's heartbroken and fed up. Some still stand by Dirk, but others are beginning to question the legacy. The same streets that once celebrated his rise are now wondering if the cost of fame was paid in blood. Was the price of fame really worth it? That is the question now echoing through the streets of Chicago and across the music industry. The effects of FBG Duck's murder are still spreading, exposing just how deep this alleged conspiracy goes, and what it could mean for the future of drill rap. This is no longer just about one killing. Prosecutors are now painting a picture of a much bigger pattern, a long-running cycle of violence, allegedly led by one of the biggest names in hip-hop, Lil Durk. And let's be honest, after Duck was killed, Dirk did not back away. He did not stay quiet. Instead, he allegedly used the moment to celebrate, and even profit. The song "Should Have Ducked" was more than just a diss. According to prosecutors, it was Dirk turning Duck's death into business. When Duck's mother, Lashina Weekly, heard those lyrics, she did not just feel hurt, she got to work. That pain fueled the civil lawsuit that is now threatening to shake the entire foundation of OTF, and this lawsuit, it is powerful. Instead of only going after Dirk and his crew, it also targets big record labels and even the city of Chicago. Duck's family is making a much larger point. They are saying, this was not just street violence, it was a system-wide failure. They claim police were slow to act, labels turned a blind eye, and the entire industry helped turn violence into profit. As one lawyer put it, if you are pushing a dangerous product to the public, you have a responsibility to make sure it does not hurt anyone. That product, in this case, was music that allegedly encouraged and celebrated real-life killings. They say it was part of a larger pattern of violence, planned and carried out by OTF. That level of organization is what makes this case so serious and so dangerous for everyone involved. Right now, the future of OTF is on the line. If Lil Durk is convicted, it could mean the end of one of hip-hop's biggest independent labels. It would also send a strong message to other artists. Mixing street life with the music business could have serious consequences. Even now, the economic shockwaves are being felt. Other rappers are backing away from violent lyrics. Labels are becoming more cautious with who they sign. And across the drill scene, people are realizing that what once seemed like raw truth and street credibility could now come with a legal price. Concert venues are tightening their security, and record labels are becoming more cautious about who they sign. The harsh truth is setting in. The price of keeping it real might no longer be worth the risk. This case is shaking the music industry to its core, forcing major players to finally face a hard question. Have they been making money from real-life violence all along? The lawsuit against the big labels is not just about getting money. It is about forcing these companies to take responsibility for the way they profit. Duck's family is saying that when labels promote artists involved in violent crime, when that violence is what makes them authentic, then those labels are not just backing music, they are backing crime, and that raises a much bigger question. When does supporting raw, street-based music turn into funding criminal activity? This case is making it clear, the music industry cannot have it both ways. If the real-life stories in these songs come with bloodshed, then the people who profit from them might also share the blame. The lawsuit filed by FBG, Duck's family argues that there is no difference between investing in an artist and investing in their crimes when those crimes are part of what makes the artist successful. And if the courts agree, this could change the entire way the music world operates. This case is not just about Lil Durk or OTF anymore. It has grown into something much bigger. If prosecutors can prove that hip-hop collectives can function like organized crime groups and that labels can be held responsible for what their artists do, then everything will change. The cost of authenticity may finally become too heavy for the industry to carry. Back in Chicago, the streets are watching closely. This case might decide whether the cycle of violence, one that has stolen the lives of so many young black men, keeps going, or whether this is the moment the system finally steps in to hold people accountable. Duck's murder, according to prosecutors, was not just another tragedy. They say it was a planned, business-level decision made by people at the top. People who turned music into a mask for something much darker. As federal investigators continue building their case, the picture gets clearer. They believe OTF was never just about music. If their claims are proven in court, it means one of hip-hop's most successful independent labels was actually a front machine that used music money to plan and carry out real violence. This is no longer just a tale about rap beef. It is about how deep criminal beef